What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off the charts that are showing and based off of the data is suggesting. I'm also going to talk about what the headlines for the overall market are suggesting, some big pieces of news coming out for tomorrow that will affect the markets, and also what you should be watching for when it comes to Tesla's price action as I talk about some key levels. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Not only benefits me, but benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share, a free Apple share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in 2 weeks. Check it out before they run out. With that set up the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at Tesla, this thing was down about 3.86% for the day. And in my video, I predicted that there was a good chance that Tesla would break below 190 from yesterday. And I predicted that Tesla could actually end up coming all the way down to this 185 to 186 level. And that is exactly what ended up happening. Now, when it comes to tomorrow, though, we are going to be moving based off the news and based off some big events that are coming out. However, if we just look at Tesla's price action from this point, it is showing some weakness. Now, being a stock that has a positive beta above 2.0, the QQQ was down about 1.36%. Tesla should have been down about like 2.5%, 2.7%. Instead, we were down like almost 4%, which is once again another sign of weakness for Tesla. And Tesla is still looking relatively weak compared to the market. That's when we look at Tesla's overall price price ratio. It still is downtrending, and that's still showing some weakness. On top of that, the overall market is starting to downtrend a bit. This will affect Tesla if it continues in this stage. Now, historically, Tesla's green about 47% of the times on Thursday. So we do tend to actually be red on Thursdays historically. And for November, like I said before, we tend to be very strong in November. We did see some nice price action to start off the month, but now it's starting to lag behind and Tesla is slowing down. Overall, the short interest is starting to pile up on Tesla, at least right over here. You can see shorts are piling in. They want to see Tesla start to come down. Now, when it comes to tomorrow specifically, though, there are going to be other big factors that will affect how the market ends up moving. Some good news that came out is this right here. The fear of wars is now actually easing because NATO is actually saying that the missile that ended up hitting Poland was likely unintentional. And I consider that a good thing because now we're not seeing signs of escalation and the market is calming down a bit. However, when it comes to how we're performing, there are other factors that will affect how we continue to move. For Tesla, we're actually at a 44% price versus volume percentage. This is essentially telling us that so far the bulls did actually make up somewhat of the majority of the volume because when the shorts came in and they started bringing Tesla down, the buyers started stepping in to help it hold 186. Otherwise, this thing would have tumbled down pretty hard. So they did barely kind of like save this thing. However, I do expect this thing to start coming up as the days go forward because the shorts are starting to gain the edge in this stock. We can see the ratio is starting to come up a bit. Once again, it is affecting Tesla to the negative side. Now, tomorrow is going to be very important because we have two big things going on. The first thing is before the market opens, we have the jobless claims report. If you don't know what this is basically released by the US Department of Labor, and it measures how the jobs market is doing. Now, remember, jobs are one of the key indicators of a recession, and right now the market wants a lot more pain. So jobless claims are basically the amount of people that end up filing for unemployment. Once again, lots of jobless claims are not necessarily good for the jobs market, but the stock market is the opposite. So high jobless claims, this means that if lots of people are getting unemployed, this could actually cause the market to push up a bit. And I say this because the market wants pain, like I mentioned. The market wants pain because if the jobs market is getting hit, this de-incentivizes the Fed from being even more hawkish because we want pain, which is going to slow down the demand in this economy, then start bringing down inflation. Now, when I say if it's high, I'm talking about higher than expectations. And I think the expectation is supposed to be 225,000 or something like that. If it's lower than expectations, the jobless claims amount, this is going to be bad for the markets, guys. The markets may take a hit because of this. So be very, very ready for this. Watch this number before the market opens if you're trading. It's very important. Now, the reason why low jobless claims is considered a bad thing to the markets is even though this is good for the jobs market, it's not good for the stock market because it would still show a strong labor market. And this is not what economists want. We want there to be some short term pain so that inflation starts to come down, so that the Fed doesn't have to be as hawkish as they previously stated they may end up being. So please keep this on your radar before the market ends up opening. Now, as time goes on for tomorrow, we also have lots of Fed speakers. We have the Fed's Bullard, not to mention other people like Bowman also speaking, and they have a tendency of being very, very hawkish. They tend to say very hawkish things. You could see today, I think Waller was talking, that did cause the market to start coming down. So Waller said some very hawkish things once again about what the Fed may end up doing. And when the Fed talks, the market tends to slow down. If you are a bull in this market, you do have some hope though, because right now, the majority of institutions, investors, traders, they are buying into the puts. The put to call ratios are still very high. We have a 2.13 put to call ratio for Friday. So all the put buying is once again incentivizing the market makers to be even more unpredictable and cause the market to actually push to the upside when people least expect it. Now, just because everyone's going on puts doesn't mean every single time the market has to just rally and do the opposite of what these people want. The answer is no. It doesn't guarantee that that's going to happen, but it is worth noting that it's a big possibility and you just have to be prepared for anything. As far as Tesla investors go, many of them are concerned about this news that's coming out. I mean, Elon Musk is working all-nighters. This actually came out yesterday. I just wanted to talk about this. I do appreciate his hard work, but the problem is if Musk is working this hard at Twitter, he's not putting as much time into Tesla. And this is why a lot of investors are not happy about this. And as a Tesla investor, yeah, I mean, you could argue that it's not the best of news for your CEO to not be putting as much work into your own company. But at the same time, I'm not really too concerned about this because I know that Tesla has a great vision. I know that they're still working on their means of production and the efficiency of their production. And I'm still very confident that they are going to come out on top despite everything that's going on. So I'm still very bullish on Tesla. I still believe that they're going to do very well when it comes to deliveries in the future. I still see very bullish catalysts, but for the short term, there's likely going to be some more sideways action, lots of chop in this market, and we are starting to see things slow down. Now, for Tesla, what else am I essentially seeing? I don't know if Musk is selling more. I don't have more like filing reports or more data. So I can't really make too many claims about this, but I do know a couple of days ago he was selling even more. So because of that, because he was selling more, there is still some uh, articles coming out. We are still seeing some of them, and that is also having a negative effect. However, right now, if you look at Tesla, this thing is trying to hold this 185 to 186 level. We do have lots of buyers coming in as of right now, but if we break below this, we have a lot of room to come tumbling down pretty hard to this 180 support zone. So please watch 185 to 186 very carefully. If Tesla breaks below this zone right here, this thing is going to come all the way down to 180. This is where the strong demand zone is. And remember, between 180 to 177 is where Tesla has seen the big bounces. So watch this zone very carefully if we do come down. Now, if Tesla were to push up, and I'm going to give you guys my prediction in a couple of minutes, but I want to talk about support and resistance levels first. If buyers start coming in and Tesla starts pushing up, we do have some pretty strong resistance at 190. This is the next major resistance level. Break 190. If this thing manages to actually break it and start pushing up very hard, then we have potential, in my opinion, to push and actually go for the gap fill at 193. Do I think this is going to happen? I don't truly know, guys. It's going to really depend on the news, on the jobless claims report, and also what the Fed speakers say. But I do believe it's very possible for Tesla to see more downside given the trend and the weakness the stock has been showing. So just to remind you guys, If the jobless claims come out and they're very high, meaning that there's more pain in the jobs market, I do anticipate a nice push up into open. The market might gap up. However, because of the Fed speakers, even if this is the case, the market may actually continue to bleed as the day goes on because of the Fed speakers. Now, if it's a lower than expected jobless claims report, if there are less people that are unemployed than we expected, the market is likely going to take a hit, and Tesla would come down pretty hard because of that. And we could easily see this thing go all the way back down to 180. So be very careful. The two most likely possibilities tomorrow, in my opinion, would be we either see a small pop into open like this, we retest maybe like 190 or so, somewhere around there, and then we start bleeding and we start filling the gap that was formed because of the Fed speakers. Maybe the stock shows some weakness. Now, if we do manage to like push up and actually break this zone right here, this 190, and we continue to push, we could go for the gap fill all the way up to 193, but I'd still be very careful even if that happens. I expect lots of choppy price action. I think Tesla's going to just trade back and forth for quite a bit of time, but it is possible for this thing to start selling off as the day goes on, and I expect this thing to likely retest 186 to 185. Now, I don't know for sure if we're going to hold this, right? We have to see the real data. We have to see the options flow. Are the buyers coming in or not? If they come in, this thing might hold this zone and we could actually push up a bit. But if the market sells off pretty hard and Tesla does not get enough buyers, the bears may take control, especially because the short interest is going up. And I do expect the short volume percentage to come up too. This means that this thing could break below 185 tomorrow, guys. Be very careful. I don't like I said, I don't truly know if that's going to happen, but if it does happen, then this thing could come all the way down to 180 pretty quickly, or at least make its way to there and to close. It's very possible. So I'd be very careful in this zone right here. It's also possible that the jobs report is a little bit stronger than many people would have expected. And this in turn could actually cause the market to just start bleeding from the very beginning. A strong jobs report means a low amount of jobless claims. If that's the case, Tesla could just start to bleed from the very beginning and come all the way down to 180. So be very careful in this zone. So, like I said before, these are the zones to watch. If we truly are bullish out of nowhere, right? Technicals aren't really showing that, but if that's the case and the market makers try to destroy people holding puts, Tesla would do something like this, break past 190 and actually go for the gap fill. However, I don't think that's the most likely possibility. I think we're more likely to see a kind of like bearish continuation. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing either bleeds into open or this thing kind of gaps up, trades kind of sideways, slows down because of the Fed speakers, and we slowly start to bleed. And maybe near the end of the day, we could see this thing approach these lower levels. Please watch 185 to 186 tomorrow. Let's see if Tesla can hold this zone. All right, be very careful around here. Lots of buyers do tend to step in here, but at the same time, if we break below it, this thing has a lot of room to come down. So be very careful when trading this. When it comes to the overall market, I mean, if you look at SPY, you have two main arguments you can make. Like I mentioned, guys, we do have what looks like a falling wedge, but at the same time, I'm not as confident about this because technicals only take you so far. They're not always going to be perfect. And if the news comes out, it's not very good news for the markets. We could still make a U-turn. So be very careful. On the SPY, I mean, this thing is very close to support. It's looking pretty weak right now. We're continuing to respect the downtrend. I mean, you could get a big pop out of this falling wedge. And if that's the case, it could help Tesla. But right now, given the fact that the Fed is talking, I don't think it's going to be that big. At the same time, it could start to bleed and start coming down as time goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to bleed off and chop. That's what I see coming. On the daily, if you look at the setup when the SPY hits 429 to 430, look at this setup. It pushes up, it starts to trade sideways, then it comes tumbling down. This setup right here looks similar to that. It pushed up, we're starting to trade sideways. It looks like it might start to come down, guys. I mean, I don't really know for sure, but it seems very probable. Anyways, that's essentially what I have for this video. Please remain calm, cool, and collected. Watch Tesla very carefully. Watch your key levels and your zones. Nothing I say is financial advice, so please be very careful. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.